Hello everybody, Junkyard Dog here. Today I'm changing a brake line out on the rear wheel 2002 Chevy Cavalier. As you can see, I have my line cutter right here. I'm going to cut a little piece off, add a line there. There's supposed to be a flexible hose that comes here that attaches here, and then the wheel cylinder line comes from here to the wheel cylinder. So right now I'm going to cut this piece off, and then I'm going to shape the end into a bubble flare because that's what's going into the flexible hose. And yeah, that's it for right now. So if you have this problem, same leak, I had the leak, it was coming from the nut that was coming from the line from the it's supposed to go in there. The hole's gone. I took it out now. Right here somewhere. So the line that goes from here, the wheel cylinder, to where the flex hose is going to meet. Alright, cut your line. Okay, so I have, as you can see, I cut the end off the bad part. I forgot to tell you guys, I actually ruined this line when I went to take it off the flex pipe because it was frozen to the nut. So the whole line twisted, so I cut off the bad part. And now I'm going to shape the end of this into a bubble flare. Hopefully everything comes out alright, because it's really hard to do it when it's on the car. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll be back. This is the brake line flare maker. Attached to the end of the brake line there, you can see the brake line comes up here. This is where it's shaped. You turn this handle to compress it and shape it into the shape you want. And that's the tool you're going to need to shape the tip of the brake line. There it is, guys. The flare tip. Actually, it's the double inverted flare tip. With your nut already on it. Make sure you don't forget to put that on before you shape the tip of your tubing. Alright. So next we're going to shape the other part of the brake line that's going to come out of the other end of the splitters that I have, because this has got to have another piece attached to it to reach the flex hose, because it's not long enough now. I had to cut part of it off. So I'll be back after I shape the hose. That's how it looks with your coupler or splitter, whatever the hell you call it. Now we're going to attach the other end. We're going to shape it and form it, bend it a little bit, because it's going to come around in a U shape, upside down U shape, and connect to the sidewall here. So I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, so I cut a piece of tubing about 8 to 10 inches long, and then I'm going to bend it and shape it. Because it's copper, it's very easy to shape into the shape I need in order to hook to the end of the other line. So, alright, I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to hook it. Alright, as you can see, I put the flex hose on, I got the clip on, everything's on. I shaped the new line. I flared the ends. This was a double inverted flare, and this was a bubble flare. So you got to make sure you got the right flares at the tip, otherwise you're going to have leaks. And then I got the clip on, it's going here. I got the clip on there, new clip. And then I'm going to put the new line for the wheel cylinder right here. That's going to go in next. So that's what you do next. Okay, there you have it. It's all done. I got all the lines in. And this is the line to the wheel cylinder. And then I had to replace the flex hose. It was bad. This was so rusted when I was twisting it, the whole line twisted. So I just like a damn, like the candies, those twisty candies. It was really bad. So I cut it off, replaced it with the union, and now hopefully when I bleed it, I'll have brakes. Alright guys, so I'm going to be bleeding the brakes and I'm going to be doing it by myself. So in order to do that, you're going to need, I would say, a 32 ounce bottle. Some guys use 20 ounce bottles. Just a Gatorade bottle. So all I did was cut a hole in the top. Well, not cut, I drilled a hole. But I made it a little bit smaller than the tubing. And I crammed the tubing in there so it'll have a nice tight fit. Then you make a little small little hole on the side of that with another smaller drill bit to make a vent hole. And then so it won't get pressurized in there when you're bleeding the brakes. And you're going to want this little spring clip. Without this spring clip, there's chances that air is going to come back into the system when you take your foot off the pedal. So you're going to connect this tube. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you're going to want the tubing to go all the way down and submerge into the liquid. I don't know if you can see it there. That's a bad. But anyways, the bottom of the tip has got to be submerged in the liquid. Otherwise, you're going to introduce air back into the system. So you're going to stick the tip of the other end on the I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, there it is. I got the tubing on with the spring clamp, and you got to make sure you got your 5/16 or whatever size. There's always different sizes, so I'm not going to say that. Mine is 5/16. I got my wrench on there to loosen and tighten it as I go along. You definitely make sure you have that spring clamp on there, otherwise you're going to get air back in there. So there's the setup for that, and then we got it going to our bottle with the brake fluid at the bottom, tube submerged in the fluid, and then we're going to open up the system. Nothing coming up right now because I had opened up the entire system by changing this brake line and some other, well, we already talked about that, but that's the point. So okay, so I have it open, so I'm going to go do some pumping. Actually, you know what, I'm going to pump it a few times before I open it. Okay, just a few more tips for added security. I put some bricks around the bottle so it doesn't tip over while I'm doing the pumping, and then I put a wire on the tubing to lift it up so that air doesn't go back in, because air rises, so when it comes through here, the air will go up and down. And so if you had it down, then the air would keep keep coming out. The air would stay here. So you gotta have the tube going in an up position. Okay, now you can see the fluid is coming up through the tubing, and I don't see any air bubbles. I pumped it like 4 or 5 times, and I'm gonna pump it a couple more times to be on the safe side, and then it should be done. And then I'm gonna do the front. I already did the other side. Oh, there's an air bubble. There's another one. Yeah, there's definitely still air in there. But we're gonna get that out. I'll be back. Okay, so I guess that's it. I waited about 5-10 minutes, and I don't see any more air bubbles. I pumped it a couple more times actually too. So it should be good now. So I'm gonna switch over to the front passenger side tire now. Alright guys, again, I pumped it until the fluid started coming out clear with no bubbles. This is the front passenger side. Got my bricks holding the bottle. Same thing all the way around. You gotta start at the furthest wheel from the master cylinder when you start bleeding it. Now I'm at the front right, and then I'm gonna do the last wheel, driver's side, and then I'm gonna test it out. Fingers crossed.